All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sometimes Social.
Hi.
Cheers.
I've done this for a while.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever, huh? It's been a little bit of time. Yeah, I think the last one that we recorded was in Lake Arrowhead,
Yeah.
which was about a month ago.
Not quite. Wait. Let me look at my wrist to see when our anniversary was.
Yeah, and I think
It's
today's...
almost going to be a month.
Yeah. Wow.
Dang, that's a long time.
Yeah. Life gets in the way.
Sure does. Sure does.
So, speaking of life getting in the way, what's been the big reason that we haven't been able to set aside some time to record?
It's been crazy with kids starting school.
Which is our topic for today, right?
Yep. The beloved distance learning.
All right, so distance learning, let's get into it. So if you ask me, I would say that distance learning is going pretty smoothly.
Oh, yeah, because you're not doing it. Yeah, I mean, so we're obviously in San Diego. All of the schools, I think they are starting with distance learning and looking into possibly doing face-to-face hybrid model, you know, as more data comes out or whatever. But it's been a challenge.
So let's start with, how do you feel about the distance learning versus like going into the classes? Like, do you think that this is something that they should have done, or should they have just opened up the schools and, you know?
Yeah, you see, so I'm conflicted.
Okay.
Because I thought about this, before school started. I said, okay, I knew they were going to start distance learning, but there is that possibility that they, mid-year, mid-semester, whatever, they could go back with the hybrid model. And they are starting with kinder through second grade, that they would go back to hybrid model, which our son is in kindergarten. And I was thinking a lot like, gosh, no, like, if he goes back to school, he's going to be exposed. And it's not like we're very, I would say cautious, I mean, we wash our hands, we wear a mask, we try to be cautious, but, we still go to the store, we hang out with family and friends.
Yeah.
But it's people that we know, at a school, like, we don't know, those other kids or their parents, their families, what precautions they're taking.
Right. Not to mention that it's a lot more people, right? Like right now we have a select amount of people that we get together with, and those people, it's the same people all the time, right?
Right.
So
yeah. So I'm just thinking, like, he likes to go to my grandma's house a lot.
Right.
If he's exposed, like, we might not be able to do that anymore. So I'm thinking, like, if they go back to the hybrid model, I think I'm going to keep him home, keep him doing the distance learning, because, especially now that I'm hearing, like, SDSU, they had to go, like, they were doing face-to-face instruction, and they had to go back to doing, the whole distance learning, because their COVID cases were going up. They went up significantly.
Danger.
Yeah.
But COVID's not even real.
So, when you hear things like that, it's like, let's just keep them, with distance learning.
Right.
So that's where I was before.
I'm a little bit more relaxed on that. Like I was kind of like, well, fuck it. If they're going in, we'll see what happens, right? But I'm not opposed to them staying home, because I think that it is safer, like much safer to keep them at home. And like you said, obviously grandma's a big worry. Like, we want to, not that she's at risk or anything, but she is older, and so it could affect her a little more. And like, we actually know someone who got hit pretty hard with it.
Yeah.
And so we seen firsthand the effect of COVID.
Right.
So that kind of makes it a little more intimidating, I guess. So I'm actually on the same page with you. I think if they do offer face-to-face learning, I'm going to go ahead and decide to keep them home, assuming that's an option.
But that's because you're not doing the distance learning with them.
Right.
So we have 2 kids.
Yep.
Our older son, he's do I say what grade he's in?
4th grade.
Yeah. Our older son is in 4th grade.
Today he told me, he's like, "Can you believe I'm already gonna be 10?" I said, "Holy shit!"
Double digits. He's
Yep.
He's in 9 going on 15.
Yeah.
He get 10 que la manga, man. He's a freaking teenager. Anyway, so for him, it's a lot easier because he's pretty independent.
Right.
He knows how to use the computer.
Right.
Like, he's pretty tech savvy, and he's smart.
Yep.
Did you know, actually, I got to give him props here. He took their reading tests that they do. Did he tell you?
Yep.
He's college and career ready. Yep. Oh my God, I'm like so happy about that. I told him, I'm going to take you to work with me. You're going to start taking some college classes.
Right.
But yeah, so he's smart,
And he also had a little bit of experience with it towards the end of last school year because they finished off with that. Whereas Anthony was a little bit more he didn't really.
He did the whole Teams thing too. Microsoft Teams. He did meet with his teacher, his preschool teacher, but it was like
different. 1 hour a week though.
30 minutes.
30 minutes a week was
30
last year?
30 minutes a week. Yeah.
It's a big jump for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for our older son, it's easy.
Right.
For our younger son...
Take a drink.
Take a drink. Oh my God. It's been a challenge. And I can understand, he's 5 years old, going into kindergarten. This is where kids learn their independence. Before kindergarten, they rely on their parents. They rely for us to do everything for them. They're so used to being home. But when they're in kindergarten, they have a full day. If they were going in, face to face, it would be from 8 to 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So they learn the structure, the independence. But with distance learning, you can't do that, know? They're only going to school 3 hours a day.
Yep.
But it's, at home in your space.
Yep. A lot of distractions.
So many distractions, they have their toys, they have their bed, and especially if you're, live in a small place, it's kind of like, where do you, do your work at? Everything's so small.
And he's not exactly the most concentrated person, I guess you could say. He's a little wild, and it's hard for him to keep his attention on one thing for a long period of time.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be constantly redirected back to the task at hand, for sure. But at the same time, for both of them, I totally understand, that it's difficult.
Right.
I've heard a lot where, people are saying, oh yeah, I'm working from home during the pandemic, but in reality, we're not working from home. We're trying to work at home,
right.
During a pandemic,
right.
Because I felt it too when I first started working from home.
Right.
It's kind of like my home is my space to relax or to do the things that I want to do. Now, before it's like, okay, I leave my work at work, I come home and that's for me.
Yeah.
Now it's like I'm bringing that work into my home space, and it's hard to balance that out sometimes. So I can only imagine for a kindergartner to be the same way, you know? Like, how do you separate, like, you know, my room? So right now their desk is in their room. My room is for me to play.
Right.
My room is for me to do the things that I want. But now I have to come and do my schoolwork. Like, no, you know, and that's the reason why I would want him to go back to school, because he needs to learn the independence, you know. He needs to learn how to be on his own, but at the same time, it's like those risks, you know, that we just mentioned. So it's tough.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the first week was definitely a hard one, huh?
For who? For me or for him?
So how in depth do we want to get here?
It's all right. I'll let everyone know the whole.
So you're gonna own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So before they started school, I was very like, you know, I just didn't know what to expect.
Right.
You know, I'm just like, okay, like we're just gonna figure it out. And in my head, you know, my plan was to take that week off that they start to just get them settled in, and the following week and, you know, for the rest of the year, I'd work. Meanwhile, they're doing school, and I just kind of keep an eye on them. However, first day, I realized that is not going to be the case. You know, like we said, he needs, you know, our kindergartner needs a lot of redirecting, you know. So there was no way I was going to be able to multitask. And that first day, I was like, oh my. And then, mind you, they were only meeting 2 hours the first week.
I remember you made a TikTok about the first day of school, and it was the Good Day song by Nappy Roots.
It's gonna be a good day. Yeah. I went in, you know, it's gonna be a good day, you know, it's gonna be a good week, it's gonna be a good year, you know, no matter what, like, it's gonna be a good year. I didn't have I had some expectations, but by the end of the day,
I think you sent me the TikTok, and I saw it, and it was the Nappy Roots one, like we said. And then like 2 hours later, you sent me a picture of yourself, like
crying.
Yeah.
I was crying. I cried the first day.
I was like, damn, that didn't take long.
I was so frustrated, and the thing is that, like, my expectation, you know, as my expectation for school is, like, you're sitting there, you're listening to the teacher, you know, you're being good or whatever. But that's not our son. He was, like, on his chair, like, moving around, and then he would get off the chair, and then he's like, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to do this, I'm bored, like, wanting to do everything. And I kept like, Anthony, you know, stop, like, listen, stop, sit down. And he doesn't work well like that. You can't tell him what to do.
Wonder where he gets that from.
You.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, me. Like, you can't tell him, like, do that, like, sit down, you can't, because he will not respond to that whatsoever. You know, he needs to be the one to want to do it.
Right. We had a little episode today with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the patience for that.
So, but that first day, it's like, you know, my expectation was sit down, you know, right. And when, you know, that fighting between us were like, sit down, and he was giving me pushback, you know, he was frustrated, I was frustrated. It was just a bunch of frustration the very first day that I ended up crying. I said, okay, like, whatever, like, it's done. 2 hours are done. Second day, it was a little bit better. It was still the same, where I was like, oh my God. But then, you know, I just got through the day. Right. You know, like, I tried to redirect him, whatever the case was. And then on Wednesday, he had an assessment, his, you know, beginning of the year assessment for kindergarten. It was the same thing, you know, he didn't want to participate. And then I tell him, Anthony, listen, you need to listen, you know, and he's over here like drawing or whatever, and he's drawing, and as I'm telling him, he's all like, I listen with my ears. And I'm like, oh, you little shit.
He's right, technically.
Yeah, he's right. So I had to tell him, like, I want you to listen with your ears and look at the screen with your eyes. But anyway, so, you know, he, after his class, he had the meeting with his teacher to do the assessment, and she asked me, you know, like, do you have any she asked me, do you have any questions for me about the class or whatever, you know?
And knowing you pulled out the
list of questions. Actually, I didn't, but I did say, I was like, I don't have questions about the class per se, but you know, I just would like to know, like, what are your expectations of him, because even
this shit ain't gonna work.
Because even in that one-on-one assessment, like, it was just us and the teacher.
Right.
Like, he was literally, like, he couldn't really sit. He wanted to draw. Like, he was grabbing all these markers. Like, I kept having to tell him, like, the teacher's talking to you, you know? And he just, like, couldn't pay attention. And I told her, like, what are your expectations? Because, like, as you see, like, one-on-one, he's not really, you know, paying attention to you. Like, I mean, I hope you didn't expect that he's going to pay attention to you while you're attending to the other 20 students in your class, you know, with the whole, you know, group of students. And she's all like, I know. She's all like, I do see it. It seems like he has to be, like, very hands-on, you know. And I was like, yeah, he does. And he's very eager to learn. He wants to learn because, like, yeah, I want to write, I want to draw, like, I want to do schoolwork. But when it comes to sitting in the meeting and just sitting there, he just can't. But she's like, you know, she goes, I'm looking at all of these students, and yeah, I see some students, you know, kind of twirling around in their chair, moving around. So, and I can't see a lot of the other students, more so because I'm focusing on, you know, Anthony. I'm not really watching the other students. And
it makes sense, though. You're asking a bunch of 5-year-olds to sit down for 3 hours in front of a computer screen. Like, that's, I mean, even when I'm at work and I'm sitting at my computer,
yeah, you get
like,
tired.
2.5 hours in, like, you got to take a break. Like, you got to get up and walk around or something, because it's a lot. And to ask a kid to do that for 3 hours, I mean, I'm sure they get breaks in between, right?
They do.
But still, it's a lot of time to ask them to be sitting there.
Yeah, it's and like I said, they don't know structure. Like, that's where they go to learn this, you know, a structured day, and you know, they're not getting that. So after, you know, his teacher is really nice, and you know, she doesn't really have any expectations of him. You know, she's not where he has to be sitting down. No, like, she totally understands. But that day, midweek,
that was the worst day?
That was the worst day. I literally had a mental breakdown. I got off the call with the teacher, and I just broke down, like, full on ugly cry, Kim Kardashian ugly cry.
So I'm at work, and I get a call from our oldest son, and he said, Dad, Mom's not doing too hot. I'm like, why? What happened?
He said that? Mom's not doing too hot?
Yeah, he said, Mom's not doing too hot. And I was like, why? And he's like, oh, she's in the room crying. I was like, all right, well, just leave her alone, let her cry, let her get it out of her system, and then check back with me in a little bit. And then a little bit later, he texts me, he's like, she's still crying, but she's doing better now. So I guess there were stages to your crying.
Yeah, so, I mean, I cried, and then I would stop, and they were just, like, there with me, like, literally while I was just sitting there, like, they were there with me.
The
and
kids?
then, the kids, both of them.
What are they doing? They were just watching you?
They were just watching me, and then I would just start crying again, like, a bawl out, and then, like, I would stop, and then, like, Anthony looked at me at one point, he's all like, Mom, what's wrong? And I just started falling again. I just want to help you.
You said, Mom, what's wrong? And you said, you're the reason, little boy.
No, I mean, I didn't blame. I just felt bad because I felt guilty for being frustrated with him.
To cry right now?
No. I already got it out of my system. I felt guilty for being frustrated with him, you know? And I felt guilty because I didn't, like, I don't know how to handle the situation.
Right.
I feel bad for him because it's like, this is not his style of learning.
Right.
He needs a specific style of learning.
It's not his style, period. Like, he's very hands-on.
He needs to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I just felt bad, and I just felt so overwhelmed. And then I'm also, like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, how am I going to do this? You know, 3 hours a day. I still have to work my full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, this past 2 weeks, I've been starting after he finishes school, but it's like, am I gonna work a full 8-hour shift? Like, right. That's 11 hours that I'll be working in a day, because I mean, it's working while he's in school. Like, yeah. I'm there working with him. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. How am I gonna do this? I can't quit my job, you know? Like, I need
Can't do that.
So, you know, just everything just kind of, you know, was built up, and I just had to let it out. I had to let it out.
Sometimes
and
you just
I just
felt
bad, and, you know, it was a bad day. But I did make a vow that day to myself to release all expectations. That's the only thing that we can do.
So I went into this a little different because I had seen a post on social media of this kid that was like crying on his desk because he couldn't figure out his schoolwork. So my thought was, like, if there's ever a day where it's just like too much for them and they can't deal with it, or they're feeling overwhelmed, then fuck it. Don't go to school. Mm-hmm. Like, don't worry about the schoolwork. The schoolwork will be there, you know, tomorrow or whatever the next day is they go in. And to me, it wasn't really a big deal because it's like, it's fucking kindergarten. And for Lucito, it's 4th grade. Like, it's really not that serious, you know? And so my thought was, like, we're going through a global pandemic. It's something that nobody's ever dealt with. Like, there's no reason for these kids to feel overwhelmed or feel like all that pressure, you know? Because, like we both have pretty important jobs, you know? And when you need to get something done at work, and you're getting towards that deadline where you need to get it done, like, you start to feel like this pressure that is just like, God damn, like, I need to get this done. And it may not, like, the consequences of not doing it may not be that serious, but you put that pressure on yourself. And that's what I didn't want the kids to do. Like, I didn't want them to feel like they needed to do this or it was going to have a long-term effect on them. Mm-hmm. So I went into it like, oh, well, if they ever need a day off, if they ever need just a mental day, then fuck it, take the mental day, you know? No big deal. Mm-hmm. That's how I went into it. But like you said, I'm not here at home, you know? I'm at work. Like, my job is considered essential, and so I got to be there.
I think they're still too young to understand that. Understand the pressure of,
you think so?
Yeah. Well, especially Anthony.
Maybe Anthony.
Luisito. I mean, I feel like he might understand, but based off what I've seen so far in his class, I don't think he's gonna feel that pressure. No. To be honest. I think he's gonna have a pretty easy year. But I think it's more so, I mean, that's an expectation. Like, the expectation of you need to have this done by a deadline. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the pressure that we feel as adult. And as you get older, like, you start, you know, based on what we see from society or, you know, our family putting all these expectations on us, or even the expectations that we put on ourselves. And if we don't meet those expectations, that's when we feel that either, you know, anger or guilt or sadness or, you know, whatever emotion it is, right. You know, if it's met or not, those expectations is like some fucked up shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you release yourself of all expectations, like, nothing's gonna let you down.
Right.
You know? And that's what I have to do, or that's what I did for Anthony. It's like, I'm not going to have any expectations of him, of him to do things a certain way that in my mind is the correct way. No. Whatever's going to work for him, like, we'll figure it out. And as long as it gets done, whether it's going to take within those 3 hours or longer, maybe in the weekend or in the evening or whatever the case is, as long as he's learning it, no matter how he learns it, we're good.
So once you started, once you redirected your thinking on that, what did the second week go a little bit smoother?
Yes.
Okay.
It went a lot smoother. I mean, we still had our moments. And I remember even one day, like, I was starting to, like, Anthony, like, stop. But I said, okay, I had to check myself. I said, okay, you gotta remember, he doesn't work well that way, you know, and so we take frequent breaks. You know, I said, do you need to take a break? I'll ask him. He's like, yeah, I need to take a break. You know, I can see it, and I ask him, and if he says yes, then we'll step out. We'll go to either my room or to the living room or outside, and we'll do like a stretch, or we'll walk around, you know, our not the whole complex, but just right here in the courtyard, and we'll just take a 1, 2 minute, 3 minute break, and then we'll go back. Or also, if I see, like, when they're on the meeting and the teacher's like calling on all these different, you know, kids or whatever, I let him do something else. Like, I'm not, you need to listen or whatever. I said, no. Like, I know that you're not going to listen to them, so there's no point in me, like, making him listen, you know? Right. But they did give us, like, materials that he can work on. So he's, you know, working on that. So he's practicing, you know, his alphabet, writing, mainly writing. The alphabet, his numbers, or whatever. So I let him do something else meanwhile. And then when it comes to reading, when she's reading a story, I bought him some crystals, and I'm having him, like, just kind of play with him in his hand while he's sitting down. So that seemed to kind of work, but like we're still
like a fidget spinner type thing.
Yeah, you know, just so he's, like, actually, like, touching something, but at the same time, like, listening to the story. So that's helped as well. But it's really just, like, you know, we got to listen to them. Yeah. You know, we have to listen to our kids to see, you know, what it is what their style is. Right. You know?
And I think that, I wanted to talk about this little funny story with him because he is doing, what do they call it? A dual immersion class. Mm-hmm. So it's for, if you don't know what a dual immersion is where they teach them English and Spanish. Mm-hmm. They teach them in English and in Spanish. Right. And at home we don't speak Spanish at all, right? Like he speaks it with grandma, or he doesn't speak it with grandma, but grandma speaks it to him, so he knows most of it, but he doesn't speak any of it. Right. And so when the teacher told him, like, in this class we speak English and Spanish, he said, "Oh crap."
No, and if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, I highly recommend for you to watch it on YouTube, because I'm gonna show you exactly how he did it. When the teacher said that, it was okay. So he was like this, right? Let me move this a little bit. So he was on, you know, on the computer. He's like this. The teacher says, "We're gonna do it. This class, we're gonna speak in Spanish and English." Oh crap. I'm like, oh my god, this. I'm like, oh my god, this child.
He's definitely a character, that's for sure.
And he doesn't like for me to speak in Spanish to him either. Like, I'll, you know, just throughout the day, like, here and there, I'll try to throw in, you know, a Spanish word, or, like, right now they're learning the letter E. So I tell him, like, ¿Qué letra es esta? You know, and he'll be like, "Oh, Mom, I don't want to do this today." I was like, elefante. Mom, don't speak Spanish. Don't do that. I don't want to do that right now. I'm like, gee.
That's funny, because today when he was leaving, because Grandma came and picked him up today, and he was walking out the door, and I was like, all right, come on, hurry up. And he turned to me and says, "Ya cállate." I was like, this kid.
Yeah, I think he's starting to warm up to the idea because even when we called Grandma, he was like, Grandma, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco.
I thought he was singing Selena. I was like, oh, dang.
No, that's just me. Yeah, so he doesn't, I mean, I think he feels embarrassed sometimes, speaking Spanish, which we need to do a better job, and we need to just speak Spanish.
Well, that's what the teachers are there for.
No, but we need to show him that it's okay to speak Spanish.
The teachers are supposed to teach.
Well, yeah, the teacher will teach him, but we need to show him that it's okay to speak Spanish.
So speaking of the teachers needing to teach, how do you think the teachers are handling the whole distance learning thing?
I mean, considering, from the experience of Anthony's teacher, I think she's handling it pretty well, but I can see that it's probably a challenge for her too. Yeah. Because it's like, like these kids, like we said earlier, we can't expect these kids to just sit and not move.
Right.
And it's hard for her to see, all of the students at once. I don't know what type of screen she has, but like on our laptop or Anthony's laptop, you can't really see all the students. Like there's really no way. So I'm not sure like if she's able to view every single student or what it is, but I mean, I can imagine that it's probably a challenge.
Yeah, so one thing to remember is that for a majority of these teachers, pretty much for all of these teachers, this is the first time they've ever had to do anything like this.
Right.
Like it's new to them too. So let's all give them a little bit of a break. We don't know exactly what it is they're going through or how much of a notice they knew. I mean, I'm sure they had to start preparing a little bit for it, but we don't know what they're going through. But because of that, we have a friend of ours, Nadia, who's a teacher, and she's actually going to join us next week, and we're going to do a second part of this with the teacher's perspective.
Yeah. So
if you guys have any questions for her, or you guys want have any questions that you want her to answer, go ahead and leave them in the comments or reach out to us, get those questions to us, and then we'll ask them to her next week.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. We'll get a teacher's perspective on this.
I'm sure it's not easy.
No, I'd imagine it's pretty damn difficult.
Yeah. And just, learning all the technology, having technology glitches, when in Anthony's class, someone always mutes the teacher.
Mutes the teacher? How you can do that? Like one person can mute the teacher for the whole class?
Yeah.
Holy
because
smokes.
You see like all the participants, so like they can essentially also mute like us, another student can mute us. But like it's funny because the teacher will be talking and all of a sudden it goes on mute.
So I would think that when you mute it so that person is muted just to you, but not to the rest of the class. That seems crazy.
Yeah. No, she just mute, and she's always like, boys and girls, someone is pressing mute. I swear to God, like I feel like sometimes she just wants to be like,
look, you little fuckers.
Somebody is muting me and you need to stop. Like, that's what I would have said. She goes, no, but she says, and I think you guys are doing it on accident. You're trying to mute yourself. I'm like, you want to say, I know you're doing that shit on purpose. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I give her props for her to be like, it's an accident, but, it's probably on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's one of the things that this teacher is dealing with. So I'm interested to hear, what Nadia has to say, or her colleagues, what struggles they've been having, because it's not easy.
Nope.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That should be a fun one.
Yeah.
So how are we going to handle the whole distance learning moving forward? What are you going to do to make it easier on yourself or on Anthony, I guess? Because Rosito seems like he's got it down packed.
Yeah, he has.
Matter of fact, he should probably just leave school and start to get a job because he can help out here,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think is my biggest thing is releasing all expectations. Like, I'm not going to expect anything, and just, stay in communication with the teacher with what needs to be done, and we'll just get it done when we can. And as far as Anthony, just really listening to him, to see what his needs are, and, what his style of learning is. Like, everyone has their own style of learning, and it's the same for him as well. So just cater to that.
So we're optimistic.
Yeah, we're optimistic. Yeah, the end of the second week went somewhat well. He did get sick on Friday, and Friday morning, so he didn't go to school.
Not corona-like symptoms.
No, not corona, no. But part of me kind of feels like he made himself sick, so he doesn't have to go to school.
He's a little young for that, don't you think?
No, yeah, I know. He didn't make himself sick. But it's because today he's, since he went to my grandma's, he's all like, Mom, I'm going to stay with Grandma for the rest of the week. I said, no. It's like, you have school on Monday. You're going to come home tomorrow. But I'm sick, remember? So when I'm sick, I can't go to school. And then I'm like, no, if you're still sick, then you can't go to Grandma's house. And then I was like, you either, what did I say? I said, you can't go to Grandma's house. And then he's all like, okay. I was like, are you sick or not? He's all like, no.
Well, about him staying there, wanting to stay there the whole week or whatever. So I packed his bag to go stay the night. And then I came out here, and I forgot what I was doing, but Lucito came out here, and Anthony was like pulling on him, like trying not to get him out here. And so I was like, this kid is up to something. So I went into the room, and he had every article of his clothing out, ready to pack. Like, he's like, I'm going for the whole month. I was like, no, boy, you're going for a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he is definitely a character, so.
He's still at that, I don't want to go to school, but, I mean, it's the second week, and like we said, they're at home. I don't blame them, but, I think it'll get better.
Yep.
And we'll just see.
Well, one plus side of this is that we don't have to go to any Star Student assemblies, because our oldest one gets those frequently.
I know, and they only give us like a week's, not even a week's notice.
Yeah.
But, I do want to say the thing that I am like happy about him being distance learning is that I can actually be with him while he's learning all these things.
Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony. Because it's like when Luisito started kindergarten, I cried. Like, I left there crying because it was just like, oh, my baby is like going into kindergarten. Like, he's not going to need me anymore, But for Anthony, like, I get to be there with him and help him. It kind of reminds me of the days where I was working, in the classroom with the kids, and, just being there with them, helping them, and, encouraging them. And I get to do that with my son for his, first year of actual school.
That's just prolonging the inevitable. When they go back to school, like, you're going to cry even harder now because you helped them through that first year.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I'll just keep him home and homeschool. I'm really, like, contemplating, like, homeschooling him. But I'm giving it a chance because I'm saying, okay, it was just the first week. Like, I got to give it more than a week. But I was really, like, contemplating, like, I'm just going to homeschool him. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah, we have to have Nadia teach him.
Can we hire you?
But yeah, I think this is gonna wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
You got some stuff off your chest. This one was.
I was really vulnerable today, so please don't make fun. I know you're already making fun of me because I'm crying.
How? I'm not making fun of you.
You're laughing at me.
Well, yeah, but because we can laugh at it now. But yeah, this one was you kind of carried it. This one, I kind of just sat back and watched the show. Didn't have much to say for this one.
Sorry, I talk a lot, I know.
But thanks for watching, guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, hit the like button, and what is it?
Notification.
There you go. I'm going to get that one day. Hit the bell notification so that you're notified when we post a new video.
And I also want to know if you're a mom or a dad staying home helping your son or daughter with distance learning, how did your first 2 weeks go? Was it good? Was it bad?
Yeah.
Do you need help? Like, I know that I went through like this whole shit show, but you know, I'm coming to a realization and I can definitely be of help. So if you guys need any help or words of encouragement, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help any way I can.
And if you guys are listening on any of the listening platforms, go ahead and leave us a review. We'd appreciate it. We are open to constructive criticism. Just don't criticize too hard though, because I'm
gonna cry. I'm just kidding.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you guys next time.
Bye.